Welcome everyone to the last day of BIMUN TV live in 2026. My name is Kutnyansky Adam and we're coming to you live as the last of the sessions end for this year.
I'm Fruzsina Magadja. We're going to share with you everything that happened today and what will happen tomorrow.
We have made an interview with the chairs of SC, NATO, HRC, UNEP, CSC and VETO, which you will see.
Welcome to BIMUN TV. Today we have asked the chairs of 6 different committees to answer some simple questions so that we can get a little insight on how their experience has been like so far.
My name is Owen Schouten.
My name is Luisa Lukács.
My name is Miklos Kovács and we are the chairs of the Crisis Security Council.
Hi, I'm Lady Adar.
Hi, I'm Salwa Erimani.
And I'm Julcia Pócs.
And we are from WTO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Yvette Boschko.
And I am Kata Gombos, and we are the chairs of the UNEP.
I am Bendegusz Bartok, chair of FC.
And Barnabás Vicsai, also the chair of Security Council.
So I'm Adam, I'm from Czechia, and this year I'm chairing the NATO committee.
Yeah, I'm Isa, I'm a senior at this high school at Ötvös, and I'm the second chair of the NATO committee.
My name is Anna Csurgai.
And my name is Vera Újfalusi.
And we are the chairs of HRC.
Please read out some of your favorite gossips.
Well, the past few days we've had an incessant amount of gossips describing how Oregon should be a free state and escape the grasps of the USA.
Also, was apparently some communists in our committee who are suffocated by the capitalists. I hope they're doing well.
We had a lot of gossip about certain body parts of the delegate of Israel. So those were quite interesting.
It was
about
all about licking someone's toes.
Yeah. And we had, when the Secretary General came to check for the dress code, someone wrote, when they came and checked us for the dress code, I thought I was back in communism.
Someone wrote, I'm scared of admins when they walk behind us with that sticky note. Like, is it me? Am I getting executed?
Best chair of BIMUN. I personally like that one.
Yeah, me too.
Chairs have very unique names. I also like that one. I also like the chairs are really hot. That was personally my favorite one. What about you, Barna?
Ooh, another two. I think.
You like the ones that glaze you?
Basically.
Yeah.
We have a little celebrity Hungary in our committee, which
yeah,
is
like
fun.
half of the comments and the gossips are aimed at Hungary. It's a Hungary glaze committee.
Yeah.
Oh, I have. Hungary would have made me vote for Fidesz.
My favorite one is Egypt is so pretty, just because we don't have an Egypt in our committee.
Hungarian people, what's with the paper in the toilets or the lack of it?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how productive has your committee been so far?
I'd say it's quite productive, like 7 or 8, because the content of the debate is good. It's just that everything gets vetoed, so in the end, yeah, there's nothing substantive, but they are working hard, so.
Who's the one we chair?
The US and China usually.
I think like a 7.
Yeah.
I would agree, yeah.
Okay. We would say like an 8-ish.
Yeah, 8.5.
Compared to Security Council, I would say like an 8. We passed 2 amendments. That's pretty cool.
2?
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
10.
Absolutely.
10, absolutely.
Really productive.
I think it has to do with the chairs.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I would say a 9.
Yes, only 9 because nothing's perfect.
There's always place for improvement.
Could you share some of your favorite moments so far?
I would say probably when the delegates this morning started being much more active, and we were quite impressed. It looked like they also went home and did a bit of research about the topic and WTO in general, so it was nice.
Well, my favorite moment was when yesterday we had to punish the delegates, and we did this on Lemon and on Carmunas, and it was really funny that they had to basically walk into another committee, and we chose DISEC, and they just have to like go in and just bark for like 10 seconds and then just like go out without saying anything, and that was really fun.
When I told the Russian delegate to answer yes or no because they started yapping, I think that was a really good one.
I think has to be whenever there's something, some argument about Iran. That's just so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and people, when the United States is speaking and people attack him on the podium, it's really funny to watch.
True.
I think when Israel went up to the board and started drawing economic charts, and he was trying to show why it would be worth to vote in favor of no parody clause. He was trying to show it through his economic charts. Yeah. Pretty funny moment, I would say.
It didn't work though.
Have you had to give out punishments, and if yes, what kind?
Yes, yesterday we had collective punishment, mostly for being late or using personal pronouns. We just did just dance, just all at once.
Of course, the other pitfall was like not wearing proper shoes. There were a few delegates who were trying to hide their sneakers, but that wasn't very successful.
We had to give out a punishment for the delegate of the USA for being late, and he had to make a speech about cheese. So that was quite unique. Cheese. So other chairs, if you have ideas.
We did actually a lot. People use I way too much, and we started decreasing the limit they get on personal pronouns. So they're making solving math equations actually. That was pretty funny. And what else? They were reenacting some Star Wars movie.
Yeah, they had to reenact the Star Wars movie. They had a Just Dance that's kind of basic, and we also have this segment for the mutes, the people who don't talk. And we make them like recite very dramatic Shakespeare poems.
We did give out a lot of punishments. For example, this morning, 2 people had to do a waltz, and a couple of people did Irish dancing.
Yes, just the basic ones. We were dancing and singing.
Is it better to be a chair than a delegate?
I think both are really good. I personally like chairing quite a lot because you can kind of see everyone how they're doing and kind of tease people when they're doing shit wrong.
What about you guys? I definitely prefer chairing.
Me too. I've done my part on being a delegate, so it's all right.
I think I like being a chair better than being a delegate, but that might be because I've been a delegate for quite some time, and chairing is like way more fun for me.
I've also been a delegate a lot of times, but since I'm usually chair, I think that's what I'm mostly comfortable with.
Yeah, also for me, chairing is much better.
In my opinion, I think it is much easier to be a chair because it is easier to prepare for it, and I also like to tell people what to do.
Yes, I think it's really fun to be basically like a boss, and you can basically overrule everyone. But also, I would say that it's much more comfortable to be a chair than being a delegate.
Chair.
I think it's debatable. If the committee is very active and the delegates are good, then I'd say being a delegate is way more fun. But in most cases, being a chair is better, especially because you have all the authority.
I think I enjoy being a chair better than being a delegate, but it also has its perks. So as a delegate, you can just stand at the podium and talk for an infinite amount of time. It's fun, but yeah, being a chair is different.
I think it depends. Like, I personally really loved being a delegate. I think the dumber the country you're representing, the better. But being a chair is really nice as well.
I like being a chair more.
I think I prefer being a delegate because then I can influence what's happening in the debate. I think it's a bit more fun.
I would have said that I like being a chair more because I can influence the debate more.
What would you say who's the boss between you guys?
It's definitely not Miklos.
Yeah, no.
Come on, what are you talking about?
I mean, if you're talking energy, it's definitely the bottom, I would say. So I don't know, Ludo or me probably.
That's fake news, fake news.
So you're saying that you are the boss?
I'm saying it's very collegial, you know. It's very equal.
Mm. 1, 2, 3.
I am the boss.
No, I am.
I consider myself the puppet. I consider myself the puppet master.
Mm-hmm.
He does all of the talking and working, but in reality, I think I'm the boss.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
He's coping.
Sure, gang.
Whoa, he likes to think that, but actually not.
I like to think that.
You're saying that you are the boss? Okay.
I was afraid of this, but I think that we can share the word like pretty equally. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we work pretty well together. She's been my best friend for some time now, so I would say like We can share the responsibility pretty well.
We have also asked the crisis team for a quick interview to give us insight about what kind of experience this was for them.
Hey guys, once again we are the crisis team. I'm Rosa.
I'm Balázs. And I'm Adam.
We are going to talk about our more of personal things rather than the crisis itself.
What's your MUN journey?
So I have been involved with MUN for 5 years now, when I started high school. I have been to every single position you could imagine within the professional part. I have been a delegate, I have been a crisis member delegate, I have been a chair, I have been a PGA of BIMUN, and this year I became the crisis team, one of the heads of the crisis team.
Yeah, well, for me it's I think a tad bit shorter since I started in 9th grade back in 2024, and I've been a delegate, an ambassador, and now this is my first time being part of the organizing team regarding a conference, and I've been having a blast, honestly.
Same thing for me, couldn't have said it better. As we are not as old as Rosa, we don't have as much of an experience in the organizing team. For us, with Balázs, it's the first team being part of an organizing team and being especially in the crisis team this year. And the MUN journey that took us here probably was a very exciting one, attending lots of conferences abroad and here in Hungary, and we can all say that it was worth it.
Yeah, so we organize our school's MUN sessions. We practice every Tuesday. So other than participating in conferences, we also do this social and professional thing in Ötvös.
Thank you. What was today's update?
Well, to be honest, it's pretty hard to say and summarize it into one big aspect, since all of the intermediate and beginner committees got their mini crisis, which basically entails that they can focus on one aspect, a big change in their debating. For example, in the UNODC, it was about the misuse of drugs, recreational drugs, among politicians. And for the DISEC committee, it's actually been so intriguing because the crisis consists of that a Pakistani terrorist organization got information about the construction of nuclear weapons, and now they are looking at an ultimatum that unless their demands are being met, they will release all of these files to the public. Of course, emerging security crises are happening over the world, and the delegates are debating about this.
Yes, so to mention something different, in the United Nations Environmental Programme, the crisis is an unfolding environmental problem which happened due to a semiconductor factory contamination disaster in South Korea, where a newly built AI semiconductor factory, shortly FAB, basically contaminated the drinking water resources, thus compromising the lives of thousands. So the mini crises are in a big range of topics, and they cover basically every aspect of our world. Adam, can you please also mention one of your mini crises?
Absolutely. For me, it was the UNESCO and NATO committees. While preparing for the crisis itself, I was thinking about approaching the topics of UNESCO and NATO from different perspectives, especially UNESCO, since the topic there is a very broad one, addressing basically all the different biases in educational systems around the world. So the topic, which was actually of the crisis, which was that a Republican governor, the governor of Louisiana in New Orleans, have removed an important statue commemorating a civil rights activist, which sparked large outbursts of hatred throughout the world, also in Europe. It was an interesting development. What we also saw in NATO was essentially that an outside power, such as Israel in this case, trying to enjoy the rights that NATO gives to its members with, for example, foreign funding that goes into the military industry. And basically, as for Israel, they have agreed to build a manufactory in Szeged in Hungary, which is well, a very controversial development, seeing that Israel is not as popular as it used to be. Nowadays, a lot of NATO countries are very critical of its wrongdoings in the Gaza Strip, and it's going to be very important for these countries to look beyond these differences in what they see Israel as perhaps a country doing war crimes, perhaps not, and focus on what's really important for NATO and the EU itself, which is rearmament, as we've seen after the 2024's war of Ukraine and Russia, that NATO itself is right now incapable of producing the same amount of military equipment that it needs.
Thank you so much. That kind of leads us to our next question. How do you prepare for the crisis?
Well, we had a lot of work before the conference itself. So we gathered every few weeks, and we also like to mention here that there is a fourth member of our crisis team. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here at the conference, but he helped a lot during the preparations, and we basically thought about possible scenarios for our crisis, and we put together different aspects. We all had our own territory, basically. I had, for example, the HRC, Balázs had VTO and CRC, and Adam also has VTO and the WHO. And we prepared basically everything together, but everybody wrote their own parts. So yes, we had online meetings and meetings in person. So yes, I think the work has been really smooth and balanced. So what do you think about that, guys?
Yes, 100% to elaborate on that. Aside from the meetings, it was really necessary for all of us to have an in-depth knowledge about world politics, and I really think that entails that we had to read lots of news, and not bi-weekly, but I think rather bi-daily, even to keep up with the pace of politics, to be really knowledgeable about what's happening all around the world.
Yeah, and the worst thing about these crises is that even though we prepare for them for months, for weeks, we never know what will happen maybe a day before the conference. We never would have thought that, for example, what is happening right now in Iran would happen, for example, that truly reshapes the position that we are writing from. And it's also important to note that while these crises are unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, imagined scenarios, a lot of times we need to take very deep dives into what specific governments think about the geopolitical situation that is going on, and analyze certain structures that could have happened or maybe will happen in the future. And based on that, we wrote all the crises. So yeah, it was a lot of work.
Okay, how does a regular day during BIMUN looks like for you?
Yeah, so, well, the average day for us is that we arrive at pretty much the same time as the delegates. We sometimes have these crisis chair meetings that are very helpful for the chairs to actually get to know the crisis before the delegates themselves get the crisis. And after that, we basically do the AP work, which is checking all the resolutions, all the operative clauses that the delegates send in. And sometimes we might write even new crises during our work, because a lot of times the committees require specific adjustments in case of maybe their topic. Maybe some delegates aren't keeping up with the position that they should be. That's why it's important for us to write directives and also basically go into these committees themselves and check whether or not the solutions that we thought of are actually working, because if not, well, then we are doing our job clearly wrong.
Yeah, and also just to include something a bit in there, if we want or see it as possible to give the delegates a little bit of nudging on which area they should focus on, sometimes we visit these committees and present ourselves as guest speakers to help them understand, for example, the current topic a little bit better.
Lastly, could you share your favorite moment being a part of the crisis team?
Well, for me, my favorite part was definitely our first in-person meeting in Károlykert, because we laughed so much. I was tearing up. So that is a great memory for me. And during the conference, my favorite moment was being a guest speaker in WTO committee. I represented Péter Magyar, and the delegates were really enthusiastic. It was great fun to be a delegate once again. So yes, for me, I could mention these two.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think for me it was basically the whole journey to, also get to know your professional aspect regarding these sports, regarding the whole organizing, and I really think for me it has been a blast working together with you two, and for me I think that was the best part, being part of the crisis team.
That's so nice. As for me, I would maybe single out that all the times that we think about what the crisis will be about, we never know whether it will work out. Actually, we never know whether the delegates will actually understand what we are writing. So it's very important for us to get this feedback. And for example, today I was really proud of our team and myself that in the NATO committee, for example, the debate was great after the mini crisis arrived, and all the delegates were very, very eager to debate on the question. And even the chair, one of the chairs, Adam, has actually taken up the role of Andrej Babiš, the Czech Prime Minister, to give a speech, a great speech about the crisis itself, because he liked it so much. So I think that these moments when we get actually the feedback and we see the fruits of our labor, we actually know that we've finally arrived in the place that we sought of to reach before the conference itself.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today is also the official party. Don't miss this event, where everyone will come together for the last time and have an amazing time. It's at 10 p.m. and it lasts about 2 hours. The party will take place in the Globe Royal.
It was an amazing experience to be the host of this year's BIMUN TV, and you guys will definitely see us next year. Thank you for watching and being a part of this year's BIMUN.